Hello and welcome to Unprofessional Engineering. My name is James.
And you got Luke.
Luke, taking one from you and from some of our customer write-ins. It's taken a long time because I have no interest in this topic. Camping technology.
Nice. We've had customer write-ins for this?
Yeah, JP actually wanted this one.
He's a
big
camper?
camper, yeah.
What?
He actually has our sticker on some of his camping stuff.
How awesome is that?
It's super awesome. Okay, to make it clear, I don't camp. I don't know anything about camping, and this is probably the first episode that you're going to teach me anything. Out
Okay.
of what, about 150
I don't know if I'm going to
episodes?
teach you. It's going to be more of an inform.
You're going to inform me about stuff. So before you inform me,
Okay.
let me tell you what the internet's told me that I need to survive in the wild.
Okay. So there's a difference between surviving in the wild and going camping. There's a total difference, but continue.
As far as I'm concerned, camping is surviving in the wild.
Okay.
Now, personally, I would think I would need like hot dogs and a pokey stick and some marshmallows.
S'mores.
But at Thrillist, which sounds like a reliable source,
totally reliable.
Thrillist tells me that I need the following: a 2-quart cooking pot.
Okay.
It seems like a good thing to have. I don't know how I'm hauling it around. That sounds terrible.
It's for hitting animals over the head.
I assume.
It's the implement of death.
A handy saw.
I'm not sure what a handy saw is. I'm sure it's a small hand saw.
Insulated sleeping bag. Makes sense.
That one's a good one.
Chop it all axe.
I
I feel like if I have a handy saw, maybe I don't need an axe or vice versa.
Yeah, axe is.
Spark producing ferro rod.
Yeah, that's a good one
Seems
because
good.
rain, snow, wind, that thing's going to work anytime.
Fire, water, heart.
I'm not sure
Captain
what that means.
Planet? No? Okay. Metal water bottle. I don't know why it has to be metal, but sure.
Because it's just
It's to make noise with my 2-quart cooking pot.
when bears
a
come to eat you.
small gauge gill net.
That's for
I'm
catching
going to
fish.
catch fishes. A knife.
Yep,
I like the knife.
knives are good.
3.5 pound wire.
That's
And 300 yards of single filament line with 25 assorted hooks, which now makes me feel like it's more like, I don't know, 10 things plus 25. But, you know, this
Yeah.
is what Thrillist tells me. What do you think
okay.
about that?
So first of all, for surviving, so we're going to take camping out of the equation for a little bit here,
Okay,
James. For
okay.
surviving, what you need for survival is first and foremost water,
I got information on that too.
shelter,
Uh-huh.
and surprisingly, food is way, 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 way down the list.
Yeah.
Because you can actually
Staying
go.
warm, apparently is
Yeah,
important.
yeah. So that's where the shelter comes
And
in.
dry,
But
yeah.
but the water, finding a water source for survival is probably one of the most immediate important ones. And then secondarily is shelter. And it doesn't need to be a shelter that you bring. It could be a shelter that you make. It could be pine branches that you pile up on top of yourself for warmth. I mean, there's all
have some
kinds of things.
suggestions that we could get into at the end
Okay.
from the internets.
Yeah. But you don't need fishing hooks.
Okay, no fishing hooks.
Like, seriously, you can go without food. I forget what the time frame is, but it's like 40 days.
Okay.
Like, you can go a pretty long time without food. So, a short-term survival, you don't need anything for food. You don't need to carry around a pot.
When that was the first thing on the list, I was like,
How is that survival? Like, all of a sudden, you're in this point where you need to survive, and you just happen to have a pot in your pocket?
thanks, Thrillist.
Thrillist is the worst.
All right.
Okay,
Luke,
so
as our resident expert on all things camping, let's hear it.
Okay, so I want to talk about, first of all, the types of camping, and we're going to focus on a specific one. So there's basically 3 types of camping. There is RV camping, which you would be good at because this is typically in a recreational vehicle.
Yeah, but don't the bathrooms kind of smell in
Well,
RVs?
sometimes the bathroom's in your RV if it's really nice. So there's RV
Well, that's what I'm
camping.
saying.
So this could be an RV that you're driving. It could be
Yeah.
something that you tow. It could be a teardrop camper. But the idea is you're pulling this thing with you or you're driving this camper.
Okay.
That's one. We're not talking about that one
No,
today.
no.
The next one is car camping. Car camping is where
want that.
you keep all of your gear in the back of your car. You drive to a location. You might hike in, a mile or two, or you might just go to a campsite like a KOA or something like that. Not a sponsor. And and you camp. And you can have tons and tons and tons of gear. We're also not talking about that type of camping.
Okay.
What we're going to be talking about is backpacking.
Oh, this sounds so terrible.
This is amazing. This is the best. This is
in
the
the outsides.
this is the best type of camping. So we're going to talk about backpacking. And now there's two types of backpacking as well.
Why?
So there's what I call kind of typical backpacking. You know, throw a backpack on. This backpack's going to weigh anywhere from 30 to 60 pounds, depending on how much gear you're carrying. It's typically something you're do over a handful of days. And then there's something called ultralight backpacking.
That sounds better.
But here's the problem. The ultralight backpackers, they typically are camping and they're doing what are called through hikes. So the Appalachian Trail goes from Maine to someplace down in Kentucky or something like that. It takes like 6 or 8 months or 9 months to do, and you don't want to carry 60 pounds for that long. So what they do is they carry the smallest, lightest, most minimal amount of stuff possible so that the trip is easy.
You must really stink at the end of that.
Oh, they do. And they go through multiple pairs of shoes, by the way.
I'm basically ultra light backpacking when I leave your house here today and make my way to my truck.
About 45 yards.
Yeah.
That's ultralight backpacking.
Yeah. I'm a camper.
There we go. So I'm going to go through a list of what I'm going to recommend to our listeners as I have best, ultralight, and budget.
Ultralight. Okay, so best for
just general backpacking.
General backpacking.
The next thing is going to be the best for ultralight, and then budget, because some of us are on budgets. Camping gear is expensive as all get out.
Is it?
So
that's why I don't do it.
And the biggest difference between ultralight backpacking and regular backpacking is what's called your base weight. So this is how much your pack weighs before you put water in.
Okay, I like it.
Right?
Yeah.
So like ultralight, these guys are going to
press
have
the tear button and weigh it from there. Okay, go ahead.
So ultralight backpackers, these cats want to stay probably somewhere in the 15-pound range before they add water. And then even if they do water, they're typically not carrying a lot of it. They got like one water bottle and then a water filter, and then hopefully they find a water source and clean the water. We'll talk about that in a minute.
How do you do it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's the water filtration sound. Just saying. Okay, so the most important thing you need for backpacking is, James, quiz.
A backpack.
A backpack.
Nailed
there you
it.
go. Nailed it.
So
okay.
people aren't going to believe that I don't camp.
So the best backpack that I found, and I did a lot of research on this because I'm actually thinking about getting a new backpack, is called the Osprey Atom AG65. So 65 is the liters that this backpack holds. So it's a pretty big pack and holds 65 liters of volume. And this thing costs $270, so it's not super cheap, but not super expensive. And it weighs 4 pounds, 9 ounces.
Not bad.
Not bad. But that's pretty heavy. Because check out what the ultralight is. The ultralight is the Arctic Blast 55-liter backpack. This thing is $325 and it only weighs 20 ounces.
I feel like for the $50, you might as well just get that one.
See, but you could, but these backpacks are typically super minimal. It's basically a hole that you just throw stuff in, where most backpacks have all kinds of compartments for putting all your gear in, because ultralight backpackers are only worried about base weight. This thing is basically a waterproof bag on your back.
Does the first bag have a spot for my 2-quart cooking pot?
It does not have.
Okay.
I mean, you could maybe squeeze a 2-quart cooking pot in there. Oh, goodness gracious.
Okay, and what about
then budget.
the James option?
So then the James option, the budget, and it's still not super cheap. And I actually had one of these. I had a 65-liter version of this, but this is the REI Co-op Traverse.
Okay.
I had the 65-liter version. It's still $250, but this thing weighs 4 pounds, 14 ounces. So it's the heaviest of all three.
You save $20.
You save $20, but it doesn't have the features that the Osprey necessarily has.
Very good.
And there's also a comfort level to being able to carry these things on your back all day long that the Osprey Atom has some really good comfort features.
Speaking of comfort level, what are your thoughts on the sleeping bag situation?
Yeah, so
See what I did there?
I see what you did there.
Yeah.
You're leading. So so here's another thing too: is not everybody does sleeping bags. There's a debate, and you didn't know this, James.
I did not know this.
So most campers nowadays are actually going away from sleeping bags and going to what are called sleeping quilts. So it's just like you think of your Nana's quilt, right? It's just a big square quilt. And the reason why they do this is you can use it for different things. You can use it as a blanket. There's snaps that allow it to fold over to use it as a sleeping bag. You can actually put it in a hammock. You can put it in a tent. You could sleep right on the ground with this thing. So, so when I say sleeping bags, I'm throwing both in here.
Okay, I like it.
So the best overall sleeping bag is called the Feathered Friends Swallow, and this thing is $450. These things are so expensive. This is a natural down filled. So this is made with feathers from birds, typically goose.
I can get behind that
This
one.
thing weighs a pound and 12 ounces.
Almost 2 pounds.
So a pound and almost 2 pounds.
Okay.
The next one is, and this is ultralight now. Ultralight. This is the catabolic gear flex. Catabatic gear flex quilt. This thing only weighs 16.9 ounces, so it's just over a pound. And I couldn't find a specific price, but the range was like $375 to like $525. So these things are crazy. You pay for lightweightness basically
sounds
in
that
camping.
way.
And then the budget friendly. This is the Marmot Trestle Elite Eco 20. It's only $150, but it weighs almost 2.5 pounds.
Yeah.
So this stuff gets heavy.
Yeah, I don't want that.
Yeah.
Okay, before we go on with any great camping gear that we have to talk about, let's take a break for a word from our sponsor.
I have to assume it's any one of these backpack manufacturers.
I would think that the Feathered Friends Swallow could afford to sponsor us a little bit. Holy moly. But no, in fact, we do not have a sponsor. Wah, wah. But we do have some shout outs. Are you ready for this?
Shoot.
Shout out number 1, Jeff S. wrote back into us again to support our berating of the inferior civil engineers of the world.
I love Jeff.
Yeah, he hates those civils too, because they're the worst. Rex R, speaking of civils, Rex is the president of his local ASCE.
Sorry, Rex.
Yep. And
We should have spaced these shout-outs out a little better.
yeah, and I thought it was funny, and has gotten his club to listen to us as well. So thanks, Rex. You're
Appreciate
probably
that.
one of the better civils out there.
Yeah.
And I have one more shout out for you. Are you ready?
Wow.
All right, this is specific for Luke. Hold on.
Oh no, what's going on? This is a show and tell.
If you're watching on camera,
Oh my goodness.
if Luke asks, he receives.
Oh my goodness. So this is
This is from our friend Rand, who is a longtime listener and great Twitter supporter of
I
ours.
love Rand. He's my boy. What do we got
For those
here?
who can't see you, Luke has
Oh
just
my
unveiled
goodness.
his T-shirt from Megabots.
Megabots.
I'm actually planning on contacting Megabots to see if they want to do an episode
The question
with us.
is, did you get one or did I just get one?
I actually didn't get one.
Nice.
Yeah, so your begging really paid off.
Rand, you're the man.
Yep, Luke's #1 fan.
I love
so
it.
thanks, Rand. So really appreciate that.
That
That was
is
super
awesome.
nice. You're gonna have to support that one soon.
Anybody else that wants to send me t-shirts too, I love the t-shirts. I love it. I love it.
That's beautiful. Awesome. So, for anyone who does want to reach out to us, ping us at unprofessionalengineering@gmail.com.
Reviews,
Oh my gosh.
subscribe.
Write so many reviews for us on the iTunes, wherever you listen. Press that subscribe button and listen to us all the time.
Yep.
And send Luke some t-shirts.
You know what we're going to do? We're going to do a unprofessional engineering camping trip. We're going to schedule this thing. I'm going to force you to go,
No.
and we're going to get a couple of our listeners to come with us, and we're going to do a podcast in the woods.
We could do that like a weekend with unprofessional
Yeah.
engineering.
Oh my
That would be
goodness.
fun. So, no, that's not going to happen.
Maybe I'll just do
But
it.
what we need to do is make sure that Rand gets one of our season 3 t-shirts
Yeah, for sure.
returned. So, all right, moving on.
Moving on. Okay, so I mentioned briefly about feathers and down, and everybody thinks down is just feathers. It's a combination of goose and duck and all these different things. And there's this debate between whether down is better or synthetic is better.
Yeah, I've
And
heard that debate
I know you've heard
Yeah.
it. It's all the rage.
on all of my forums.
Yeah, so basically they both have pros, they both have cons, just like anything, and it all depends on kind of what you're doing. So
I would say unprofessional engineering has no cons, but
we
continue.
We don't. Other than one of the hosts. So down is more expensive because
Yeah.
they're murdering birds for these.
They are.
Feathers, no, they don't murder them. They actually harvest them pretty humanely.
Do they?
Yeah, they don't
sure?
have to kill them. Yeah.
I don't know. Okay.
Yeah. So down is more expensive. It has a higher warmth to weight ratio.
Ooh,
This
that
is
sounds
called.
good.
This is something called fill power. I'll talk about this in a minute. So for as much as you have of it actually warms you more. It's super compressible. Like you can take a sleeping bag and literally get it down to like the size of a big water bottle. It's super durable, and if you take care of it, these things last forever. The cons are these things, when they get wet, they don't perform well because they kind of lose their volume. Cleaning is very difficult for these. They're not hypoallergenic, so if you happen to be allergic, you could have issues where you actually physically can't use this. And they are literally 2 to 3 times more expensive sometimes. Like if you look at a high-end down and a high-end synthetic, it can be like twice as much, if not more.
That's a lot.
Next up is synthetic. So this is what most people think of. So like if you got one of those little puffy jackets from Patagonia or REI or one of those other folks, these are typically synthetic. Synthetic is good. It has a decent warmth to weight ratio, but not as good as down. They're waterproof. This is the best part. So since they don't compress as much, and when they get wet, they still keep you warm. So that's the best. So if you think you're going to be hiking in cold weather and wet weather, you want to be wearing something synthetic. The cons are they're heavier, they're bulkier, they don't compress as well. The warmth to weight ratio isn't as good. So you got to kind of, most backpackers like me, I have both.
like you.
I have down, I have synthetic jackets, I have down, I have synthetic sleeping bags.
Wow. No wonder it's so expensive, buying two of everything.
Oh, it is.
Hey,
It's
and
super.
to give you a little bit of credibility here, because we're claiming you're an expert, Luke actually has gone out like an idiot by himself and tried to attack bears in the woods in California?
No, Yellowstone.
Yellowstone.
So when I had my sabbatical about 4.5 years ago, I went to Yellowstone for 2 weeks, and I did Jellystone, yeah. Yogi and Boo Boo
Hey, Boo Boo.
were there, and I did like legitimate backwoods camping for like about 6 days straight. It was amazing. It was
Sounds great.
super dangerous because I went by myself. Hindsight, probably not the best thing to do, but I
mean,
came
you're
back
not
alive.
scared of a bear,
No,
or whatever it might
no.
be. There,
I had
wolves.
I had my bear spray.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was pretty awesome. It was one of those mountaintop moments that people have in their lives.
Yeah.
And as a man of middle age, it was something I needed.
That makes sense. Before you move on, could I call out a few items that I
Please.
found that I thought I would need to
Please.
buy?
Can I give you a thumbs up or thumbs down?
Give me a thumbs up or thumbs down on
Okay.
these. The Matador Pocket Blanket 2.0. It's big enough for 2 adults. It's waterproof. It folds down to the size of your wallet. Keeps you warm and dry. $30.
These are emergency blankets, so these are probably the ones you see look like foil.
Yeah.
And they're like a one use only kind of thing. It's
that a thumbs
it's an
down?
emergency blanket. I'd keep it in the car. Thumbs up.
All right. Huckberry Survival Axe 20-in-1 multi-tool. $45.
Multi-tools, other than a really good small Leatherman, are typically rubbish.
Okay.
So I'm going to say thumbs down.
No sponsorship from Huckberry.
Sorry.
Life Straw Go Bottle. It uses a 2-stage filtration process to remove bacteria, protozoa, chlorine, and bad taste. And it lets you stay hydrated. It removes literally 99.9999999% of waterborne bacteria, including E. coli.
Not super easy to use on like a regular camping basis, but emergency use, keep one in the car. Probably not a bad idea.
I
Thumbs
was
up.
thinking about taking one of those to like Cuba next time I go, because what I returned with does not need to happen again.
Yeah, so if you're going to another country, this is something super small. You could pour water, fill it up, and do
I
it
might
and
do
drink
this.
out of it.
Now, could you pour like pina colada into it?
You could. I don't know what the end result would be.
Huh. Well, maybe I'll try that out. Okay, the Packlight Nova USB solar-powered lantern, $25. Provides 75 lumens of bright light LED on turbo mode, or on low mode can last for 24 hours.
I have one of these.
Oh.
Definite thumbs up.
All right. Maybe they'll sponsor us. UCO Stormproof Match Kit, $8. Fire's good.
I'm gonna say no. I would stick with the flint.
Okay.
Some kind of ferrous rod. Matches, even waterproof matches, always have issues with the wind. Where if you get a spark,
yeah,
you're good.
Makes sense. Okay, and I was going to give a shout out to our friends at Soul Power, which was like a little thing that
They're
you
on
put
my
in your
list.
shoe, you stomp around on it, but apparently they've pivoted, and now they are more focused on the military, firefighters, industrial workers, and things like that, but still cool for camping.
Oh, I did BioLite was my shout.
Oh, yeah,
That's
I
right.
have them somewhere too. Okay, continue on with your stuff.
Okay,
Luke.
so the next thing I want to talk about is something called fill power, and when this is so confusing, and I never really understood this until I did this research and when I was buying different sleeping bags and jackets. So fill power.
I've never heard of this before.
No. So whenever you look at a puff jacket, or you like
A puff jacket.
you probably have a puffy jacket you wear in the wintertime.
No, I don't wear a jacket because I'm a man.
Okay, sorry. So people that buy puff jackets, there's this thing called fill power, and it's a number, typically 400 to 1,000, whatever the number is, and this is the ability of loft and trapping heat. So it's calculated by how many cubic inches of 1 ounce can downfill the testing device. So it's how many, again, cubic inches fill a 1 ounce area. So for example, 600 fill power means that 1 ounce of that material will fill 600 cubic inches of space.
So it's all smashed down.
So it's all smashed down and how much it lofts up,
Wow.
basically. And basically, thermodynamics, if you can create an air gap, that's going to create, it's going to be warmer. It's going to not let the heat in. So basically, you're creating air gap. So if you do like super premium, like 900 fill power goose down, these things can be like 900. And then when you get into some of the duck and synthetics, they're like in the 6, 7, 8, 5, 400 ranges.
So goose is better than duck, which is better than synthetic. We
Yes,
think.
from a
Okay.
from a heat standpoint. If it
From a
gets
heat
wet, they work. If it gets wet, synthetic works better.
I see.
Does that make sense? Okay,
Yeah.
so I'll give you an example. So, for example, let's say you go out and you buy a sleeping bag that's rated at 20 degrees Fahrenheit with a 700 fill power. And then you have another one that is 20 degrees and it's a 600 fill power. The 700 one is going to be lighter because it's less material filling up that same area.
Okay.
So the higher the number, typically the lighter. Does that make
Hurts
sense?
My head.
Because it's compressibility.
Gotcha. Oh, so
that
what's
is-
yours? What's your puffy jacket? Or do you not do puffy jackets?
Off the top of my head, I don't know what it is. But I have a really good Patagonia synthetic that I wear in the wintertime because Pittsburgh, wet, rainy. Like if you
Yeah.
live in Pittsburgh and it's an outdoor
No
jacket,
goose for you.
probably shouldn't wear synthetic. Or you probably shouldn't wear natural. You should probably wear synthetic in Pittsburgh.
Okay. Before we move on, that was very interesting, by the way. Before we move on, let's take a break for this week's Luke's Rant.
Okay, so here's my rant. I'm keeping it related to hiking and camping, is boots.
Boots.
It's so difficult to buy hiking boots.
Is it?
Number one, they're crazy expensive. Like on the low end, you're going to be $160, right? And it's just like anything. Have you ever gone to a trade show and you buy a
No.
brand new pair of shoes like the day before because you need new shoes and you go and they destroy your feet?
Oh, I haven't done that, but I've
done
heard.
that. I've done that a couple times.
Yeah, I'm
and
not that dumb.
The problem is, you have to really wear a pair of boots in, and by the time you wear them in, your feet are killing you. So this is more of like I'll say a promotion. So if you don't belong to REI, I recommend you join REI as a member. I think you should do it.
I'm on it.
Because they have an unconditional 1-year return policy on anything. So I literally have worn boots.
So you buy stuff and then you use it and then you're
Well,
like,
no,
I'm good.
I try
Take
it out,
back.
make sure it's comfortable. But I've bought boots and worn them for 2 or 3 months, and they just aren't working out. I tried different socks. I tried different lacing techniques. I try all kinds of stuff, and they just don't work out. I return them 3 months later, and I get all my money back. And then they turn around and sell it at their garage sale. So this is kind of a good thing. Join REI. You can return anything,
not a
and
rant
literally
at all.
anything within a year. But boots, it's difficult
Boots.
with boots.
Okay.
It's really difficult with boots.
I have a friend who's going hiking, and Glacier National
Ooh,
coming up. So she should probably listen to this episode. I think
Yeah.
they're like
They're into
they're like
camping.
glamping though. I think they're doing
Oh,
cabins and stuff.
They're going to be in a yurt.
Yeah. So
With a
but she still
clawfoot
needs
tub
boots.
and-
So
Yeah.
go get boots, Nicole. Can I give you a few shout outs that things that James will need for our camping trip?
I've got to hear it.
Let me know if you like these or not. The Nemo Helio pressure shower. You fill up a bag with water, you step on the foot pump a few times, and you have high pressured, warm, if left in the sun, water showering you. Only $100.
I've used one of these before.
Yeah.
Not for camping. I did some car camping with this, but not like backpacking, and it's actually pretty nice.
So I need a shower. Next,
You definitely need a shower.
You don't want to have me wake up and be grumpy, so I need the Handspresso Wild Hybrid for coffee addicts who need a tasteful espresso every morning throughout their travels, hikes, and outdoor adventures. €100,
So about $1,000.
give or take.
Okay, I'm going to give you a better one. It's called an AeroPress. It makes the best coffee.
I've seen
it's
the
super
AeroPress.
small.
Yeah.
They're pretty inexpensive. I would go with an AeroPress over that.
So I thought I was making a joke, but this is good. They're useful. The BioLite camp stove with portable grill. This one actually isn't a joke, but I would want to have this so that I could cook my food. So you can easily create a fire for cooking where it then uses the heat to charge a battery pack, and you can charge your USB devices with it. Almost $200. I think you can get them at REI, right?
Yeah, BioLite, they do some pretty interesting stuff. I have them on my honorable mention for stoves.
Okay.
And they're pretty interesting because if you're doing extended camping, backpacking, the biggest challenge is carrying battery packs to recharge your stuff. You got to carry a little solar panel. This thing is great because when you cook your food, there's a little heat exchanger in there.
Yeah, it's cool.
I forget what the effect is called. There's a name for the heating effect. Basically, it's a hot side, cold side effect. And what it does is there's a little fan in there, and it generates electricity for you.
I love it. Next, the Hot Pocket sleeping bag, $80. It has a custom microwave insulation system to keep you, quote, toasty. It looks like a Hot Pocket with a little sleeve.
Anything called Hot Pocket, I think, is a bad idea.
And then, ideally, a Marriott. You can usually get them for about $159 to $400, depending on the location.
Okay.
Yeah,
Ideally, a Marriott.
that sounds terrible.
You were the worst.
So one thing, serious question here. I saw Kimbo's crotchless shorts for $45. Why would that possibly be needed?
So chafing is an issue whenever you're doing long-term camping.
Is that why?
I've never worn. I mean, I don't know this specifically. I mean, I've never had issues, so I wear technical.
It had a zipper, like, what?
I don't know what that's for.
I don't know.
So underwear is an issue whenever you're camping, especially hiking, because there's chafing, there's rubbing. So what I recommend anybody is you wear some kind of technical fabric, like that Lycra spandex mix, athletic, like running shorts or something like that. The underwear that you'd wear for those.
I like that.
That's what I'd recommend.
All right, let's continue on with Luke's survival guide.
I'm going to try to wrap it up here. We've got a couple other, and these are all like the major things you need to have a successful backpacking trip.
Okay.
So the next one is tent versus hammock versus bivy sack. You probably don't even know what a bivy sack is.
Never heard of it.
Do you? Okay.
No.
So a couple things to consider. Weight. So a bivy sack is usually the lightest option. So this is basically something you lay on the ground, and literally it just covers your body. It's like sleeping inside of a sleeping bag. In most cases, the bivy sack itself is the sleeping bag, and maybe you have a quilt or something like that.
What do they cut open in Star Wars that they have to sleep inside?
A tauntaun.
Yeah, a tauntaun. Is that what
I
it's
would
like?
not recommend a tauntaun for backpacking. Just saying. So bivy sack, this is ultralight folks like this because it's super minimal, super light. The other one they like is they like hammocks because it keeps them off of the ground. They tend to be really light because there's no aluminum or carbon fiber poles that you have to carry. You just need to find 2 trees. So you got to think about where you're camping. If you're above the tree line, this doesn't work for you. If you're below the tree line, you're good. So depending on where you're camping, that might work.
Keep bears away from you.
You're not that high off the ground. You're not like 20 feet. And bears can climb trees, James. Come on. And then the last one is tent. This is what everybody thinks about when they go camping. And a good light tent is always an option. I didn't do the research on all 3 of these. So depending on the type of camping you're doing.
I saw a 9-person cabin tent
that's not
pops open in 60 seconds.
Not a backpacking
Boom.
tent.
Sign me up.
The thing probably weighs 60 pounds.
Probably.
Okay, so
Make the wife carry that.
I did do tents. I'm sorry. I didn't do hammocks and bivy sacks.
Okay.
So tents. The best overall is called the Big Agnes Cooper Spur.
I like that.
This thing is $500 and it weighs 3 pounds.
That's it?
About 3.5 pounds.
Wow.
So here's the crazy one. Hyperlight Mountain Gear Durango is almost $800. It only weighs a little under 2 pounds. but that doesn't include the trekking poles because you use your trekking poles as a part of to
That makes
post
sense.
because they repurpose their gear. And then by far, this is one of the best. One of my buddies has one of these, an REI Co-op Passage 2. It's $160. It's heavy. It's almost 5 pounds. It's 4 pounds 13 ounces. So it's noticeably heavy compared to the other tents.
I feel like if I have all these together, I'm still only putting like 30 pounds of stuff in my backpack. I'm good. I can haul that around.
Carry that for
From
6
your house
days.
down to the truck? Yeah. All right, what else do you got for me?
Next up, boots versus shoes or tennis shoes. So everybody thinks you need, I got to have hiking boots. Well, that's not necessarily the case. Most ultralight backpackers wear tennis shoes.
Okay.
And they're specific tennis shoes. They're not just like a pair of Nikes. They're and the reason they do it is they're way lighter because they don't have the whole ankle support and protection area because they're all about weight. They're all about getting the lightest thing possible. They tend to be more comfortable. They tend to be a little more forgiving. They like to move faster. They're pretty expensive. And then there's a traditional hiking boot. And I didn't go into all the details on the boots, but this is, if it's cold weather, if it's wet, if it's hot, there's all different types of boots. So I didn't do the research on the boots just because there's so many types of boots out there. But I will give a shout out to Solomon. They make some of the best hiking boots. I've had like 3 or 4 of those over the past years. They're great. They're comfortable, cold, wet, warm. So,
would you suggest I wear my black Chucks or my green Chucks?
I would go with the green Chucks.
Okay,
that way they don't show the dirt.
I could hide from the bears.
You could hide from the bears. Okay. I got 2 more. And then was there something else you wanted to share?
No, I'm good.
You're done? Okay, so I got 2 more. So, again, water.
I did have one thing I wanted to ask you about, but it's quick. Go ahead.
Okay, so water. Super important to have clean water because you don't want to carry, like you going camping, you'd probably buy like a case of water bottles and just
put it on my shoulder.
So you don't do that. So you typically have a water filtration system. The best one overall is the MSR Guardian Purifier System. This is the number 1 on the market right now. It kills you could put this in basically a toilet and siphon water out of it and drink it, and you're good. Like a used toilet. It's $350, but it's heavy. It's 17.3 ounces, and that's because the filter has so much material and stuff in it that it cleans it perfectly. Ultralight backpackers, they're going to want the Sawyer Squeeze water filter. This is the one you mentioned earlier. These things are only $40. They weigh 3 ounces. You can typically attach it to a water bottle. You can attach it to a bladder. Super cheap. The best bang for the money is the Katadyn Hiker Microfilter, $75, but it's 11 ounces, so it's kind of heavy. And a friend of mine has that one, and that one has worked really well. And we went hiking this one time, and it was this nasty cesspool. Like when we read the hiking map tips, it said, there's a water source, and we got to the water source, and it was basically a stagnant puddle.
Camping is the worst.
And we drank out of it, and it was fine. None of us got sick.
Gross.
And then finally, you got to be able to make hot water stove. So I'm going to go through this super quick. Jetboil Flash is $100. It's 13 ounces. Ultralights, they're going to want the MSR Pocket Rocket. This thing is only $45. It's super cheap, but it only weighs 2.6 ounces. So crazy light. Throw it in your pocket. And then bang for the buck is going to be the Snow Peak Gigapower. This is $50 and it weighs 3.2 ounces. An honorable mention. Folks over at BioLite, these guys make a Camp Stove 2. It's $110, and it also allows you to charge your phone, and there's a battery pack on it. But this thing weighs 2 pounds, and it's pretty big.
It looks heavy.
It's 2 pounds, and it's the size of a big Nalgene water bottle packed up.
So, question for you.
Shoot.
When I go camping, and inevitably a bear steals my picnic basket, have you heard of the universal edibility test? Stuff you can eat?
No.
Apparently, it's like this series of steps you take on whether a plant is poisonous or safe to eat.
Okay. This is good to know.
Yeah, so the idea is to gradually expose your body to the plant and see if any reactions occur. Like you could smear it on yourself, then eat a little bit of it, and then eat a little more. And after you eat a little bit and something real bad happens, don't eat any more of that, but it wasn't enough to kill me. So apparently there's this whole plan to do this stuff.
I don't know that.
And then it's important to know that you have to test the different parts of the plant. Fun fact, rhubarb stalks are edible, whereas the leaves are toxic. Who knew?
I actually have a book, a little guidebook for edible plants.
Nice.
So
Very
I
cool.
hope you learned something here, James. This was all me talking this whole time.
I really feel like I'm probably going to go camping here soon now.
I hope so. Why, come on, little buddy.
So terrible. Here,
Okay.
drink this dirty water and don't
No,
shower.
it's clean when
and
you
sleep on a quilt. Yeah, you're really selling me. And get chased by a bear because they climb trees.
I hope our listeners enjoyed this.
I hope they learned something. I hope they enjoyed it. And if you're going on a camping trip, email us at unprofessionalengineering@gmail.com and let us know. We can send you some unprofessional engineering stickers to slap on the trees out in the wilderness.
That would be littering, so no.
Don't do that, I meant. All right. Well, until next time.
See ya.